Before we get started, we'll do some quick introductions. So we're going to go around the room. I'm Rachel Neal, and I'm with Nordic Consulting and one of the organizers of 1 Million Cups.
I'm Matt Health, digital marketing consultant.
I'm Jonathan Solari. I'm a loan executive with United Way of Dane County, sponsored by U.S. Bank.
I'm Laurel Gaucher. I'm also a loan executive, sponsored by M3 Insurance.
Amanda Schmeigler with Earthling Interactive.
Janet Nodor, Bujo Kochi.
Catherine Lee, I'm an advocate for 1 Million Cups.
Thank you.
Brown Dahlman, Wisconsin News Network. Tim Bickmore, co-founder of LBW Wealth Management.
Teresa Cobell, Cobell Law Offices.
Seth Braddock, founder of Filter.
Brian Robertson, new to the area of software sales, so looking for a next opportunity.
Morning, Alex Ryan. I'm in solar energy.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So we're going to turn things over to you guys. So take it away.
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for having us and giving us this opportunity to present to you all and tell you a little bit more about Headway and what we do. I'm Eric Verbencourt. I'm co-founder and senior developer at Headway and been developing applications for the past 10 or 13 years. Over that time, have held a lot of various different positions. I've been entrepreneurial, started businesses, failed, started businesses, some of them succeeded, and really kind of took all of that collective experience into Headway.
I'm John Kinney, co-founder, and I lead the development team at Headway. Been developing applications professionally for the last 10 years at some consulting shops here in Madison, also some consulting shops in Green Bay. Had the opportunity for 3 years to be the CTO of a fintech startup out of Chicago called Polster, did investment-based crowdfunding. And at the end of the day, I get to go home to my wonderful wife Amanda, 3 kids, Layla, Matthew, and Joseph. They're all 3 and under, so we're pretty busy at home.
Yeah, busy indeed. I also have a wife, Stephanie, and a son, Winston, but he's an 85-pound golden doodle, so it's the only children I have at home. But yeah, we're Headway, and we're located in De Pere, so it's right outside Green Bay, right off the river. And really, we exist to alleviate this. We've all worked on teams before where we get a list of demands, and we start to work on those lists of demands, and we realize that higher-ups, wherever that may be, our product owners, marketing teams, they don't like what they see. And we continually bang our head against this wall, so we really created Headway to bring all of our experiences together of how we get past this and how we alleviate that. And we do that through a series of different things, through Agile Methodologies. Has anyone here been on like a large-scale software team before? Okay. Yeah, and familiar with like Agile? Yeah, so we implement some of those same things, and we take a little bit. You'll notice if you look at our site or look at any of our stuff, really Headway, we have a marine theme. So we really call our process Compass.
And the thing too to know about, so a couple of you were familiar with Agile and had worked in large software teams. A lot of our clients haven't had that opportunity. So we view a lot of our initial engagement with the client as an opportunity for educating them on kind of the best practices on working with a consultancy. And we don't just try and get in there and start billing day one and say, hey, what are you trying to get out of this? What are you looking to do? And we do a lot of coaching. Eric can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and that's really what Compass is there, is anything can be built, but should it? So we really sit down up front with our clients and we go through a series of phases. And one of those is diagnose before prescribing. So a doctor wouldn't give you a prescription without asking some questions and understanding a little bit more about you before he would give you some sort of pill or something like that. So that same type of mentality is what we bring to software development, and we really try to focus it around value. So what is going to gain you the most value, the fastest? And that's where stuff like Lean and Agile really helps out, is we can run through what the list of most valuable things are for this new product, and how we can achieve that the fastest through an MVP, and we call that a minimum viable product or a minimum valuable product. And really what it's based around is establishing user empathy and understanding what the goals are of the product. So we go through a series of steps where we empathize with the users, we do user interviews, and we go through creating a testing vehicle to do that. And what we do is we take all the assumptions that a product owner has. Everyone's everyone thinks that what they want built is the way it should be built, and they want to give you a list of demands. Hey, I know that this is the most valuable thing, this is what my users want. But really, when we take a step back and we do things slowly and we do them minimally, we find out that that really isn't the case. So we create different testing vehicles. Early on, that can be as simple as wireframes. From there, it could be high-fidelity wireframes. It could be a clickable prototype in something like Envision. It doesn't always have to be something that's developed. And really, the whole cycle here is to how fast can we receive user feedback to impact our next decision. So we want to take our list of assumptions in, start with the highest priority one, and validate those over time through an iterative process. And that's how we really use Agile.
And not only the most valuable, but probably the most risky, we often start with too. If somebody says, hey, the whole product hinges on the fact that 80% of our users will engage with each other on the platform about podcasts or something, we better get out there and make sure that anybody actually cares about talking to each other on a podcast app or something. And we actually have an app that is going through a couple of pain points like that, where people say, yeah, this is great, we downloaded it, it's cool that we can interact, but we need somebody to push the users to that point where they can understand that that's a thing they can do. So helping educate the product owner, and then ultimately helping educate the user too, is a part of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a continuously learning process for sure. And really this is where Agile comes in, where we're really designed for progress, where we want to make sure that the product owner, the people that our clients are as ingrained in the process as we are. So we involve them in daily stand-ups. So every day we meet for 10 minutes or so and understand, are we blocked on anything? Do we need the product owner or client to give us feedback before we can continue? Anything we may have learned since the prior day's stand-up that would be valuable for them to understand, any feedback we may have got. And then we do a sprint review. So we talked about this Agile where we do sprints, so it's 2-week iteration cycles. So we establish a set of goals for our next 2 weeks. And really every 2 weeks through an Agile we want to have a deliverable product at the end of 2 weeks, so whatever that may be. So we set our goals in the beginning, we understand stuff along the way, and at the end of that 2 weeks we want to showcase something to the client or to our end users to gain some more feedback. And we also do what's called a retrospective. So that's, hey, what went well over this? So not only do we meet on a daily basis, but we meet at the end of our 2-week sprint cycle to understand, hey, what went well, what didn't. It's an opportunity for us to make ourselves better and our process better as we collectively work together as a collaborative group.
And if you've been involved in startups and software development in the last 5-10 years, you've probably heard of stand-ups and sprint reviews and retrospectives, but a lot of the clients in maybe the corporate innovation space up in Northeast Wisconsin where we're from aren't really operating like this. A Kimberly Clark or a ThedaCare, somebody like that might have a little bit more of a waterfall approach. Maybe they've got a product that has a 1 or 2 year development cycle. So if they're bringing us in to do something unique and sort of outside of the standard of their internal process, we have to try and help coach them up on some of these Agile things, and getting them communicating with us on a daily basis is a super important part of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we look at really tying the whole process together, we kind of have our roadmap here for success, where our ideas and our hypothesis come into our testing vehicle, where we can build something, we can measure that success through analytics, and then we can learn from it to really inform our decisions for the next time we run this cycle. So if you think about it, when we talk about MVP, is we want to create the smallest thing possible, because we want to be cognizant of time, resources, money, right? So we want to build the smallest thing possible to go into this cycle of build, measure, learn, come out with a deliverable product, and then it's continuous improvement from there. So it's, hey, what did we learn from this little vehicle that we did create? Oh, we learned by a clickable prototype that no one really cares about X, or this layout really isn't going to be able to work. And we did that in a minimal way where we didn't have to use development or other things like that along the way. So it's really trying to minimize the risk for the client, which is their time and money as well. So the results, and I think it's pretty apparent by creating MVPs and really testing early, involving the users as much as possible, is we want to fail early. Most startups fail, most products fail. It's just the nature of it, is everyone thinks that they have a problem to solve, and then when we go through the steps, we realize maybe the problem isn't solvable, or it's already been solved, or the users don't care. So if we do fail, we want to fail early, and to investors, to product owners, that means using the least amount of their resources as possible to come out with that and fail forward. So when we do fail, we fail and we learn something from it. So we've collected analytics along the journey. We've involved the users throughout this journey as well, so that when we do fail, we can hopefully make some sort of pivot on that idea to be able to inform our next build, measure, learn cycle. And yeah, maximize resources, I already hinged on that, is just the time and money it takes to develop products. Questions? Any questions? Yeah.
You mentioned a couple of clients. Could you give us an example of some of your clients and how they find you?
A lot of our clients come through processes like this. You know, we would like to have more inbound leads in the future. That's something that we're ramping up marketing efforts towards. You know, we want to speak at conferences, at user groups. We run an event called Digital Fertilizer in our area. It's a meetup, really, not an event. And that's a once a month thing that brings entrepreneurial-minded people together in Northeast Wisconsin to talk about, much like this, businesses, processes, goals, and that kind of thing. So just getting out in the community, trying to connect with people, tell our stories, say who Headway is, and let them know that you don't have to go to Silicon Valley to have, you know, a lean agile development consultancy build a small MVP for you. You can do it in De Pere, Wisconsin. You can do it in Madison. There's tons of partner shops that we have good relationships with here in the Madison area that do a lot of the same stuff that we do. So, you know, we don't get a ton of inbound leads. People just say, hey, build this, build this, build this. But when we come out to events like this, some people say, hey, that sounds like a good idea. I've had some pain points developing software before. Maybe we can talk about working together. So pretty much one-to-one outreach and relational marketing is kind of our key approach right now.
And our current and former clients, right?
Right.
They're our biggest proponents of what we do is, hey, we've done something successful, they understand. And really, through this process and through the collaboration, our goal is to build a relationship, right? So we try to build a relationship with our clients where they trust us that, hey, I'm going to trust you with my resources, I'm going to trust you with my time. So we try to get to that as fast as possible, and a lot of times our clients then refer, you know, their friends and different businesses to us. Yeah.
So what are your goals as far as the company growth? I mean, you clearly have a very close, intimate relationship with your clients, and that, I mean, you couldn't easily scale that without also scaling human capital and growing your base. What's the goal for you guys?
Yeah, I think the goal is to really try to get like-minded individuals. So we set a bunch of values that we have as owners of the business now, and finding people that really are like-minded that can join our team, where we can run this process and trust that they'll be able to have that same mindset that we do towards our clients, towards, you know, all the things that we hold valuable. You know, our big thing is doing things the right way and making sure that you know, that we just build that trust as fast as possible. So I think our goals are really to build our team. So we have that our space in De Pere that we moved into back in March. In Marches, which was a larger area than what we were in previously, also located in De Pere. But the goal there was to be able to have the room for growth. So as we continue to gain more clients, we can build our team as well.
And the ideal project team for us is 2 developers and 1 designer. So the 2 developers will be full-time throughout the duration of the project for the most part. The designer will probably be full-time at first and probably scale back as the build goes on because there's less for them to do after we've sort of had the product owners help us get through that initial cycle. So right now, we have a couple of those size teams that are able to execute on projects independently, and I think the growth strategy is to get to the point where we can sell a couple of jobs that have the ability for us to bring on some of our contractors that we're working with right now in a more full-time basis and staff up those 3-person agile teams to execute on individual projects for anywhere from 3 to 6 to 12 months, depending on kind of how big the project is. And on the front half, Eric mentioned Compass. One of the things that we do in our user validation and our idea validation is we'll even try to invalidate an idea. So if somebody comes and says, hey, this is going to be great, I know it, we'll say, okay, let's prove it. So we talk to the people, and if we can talk them out of building something for $50,000 or $100,000 that we were able to demonstrate isn't going to work, even though we're losing out on potentially building that money, we call it a win, because if this is an idea person that we trust and we want to work with, we're going to be straight with them, and hopefully they'll come to us with a good idea that will work the next time. Yeah.
How's the talent pool up there in De Pere and Green Bay area?
That's one of the big reasons why we do a lot of community events. We also did something like Design Disruptors, which was sponsored by Envision, We rented out the De Pere Theater, and it's really building the community and making ourselves known to developers. Outside of that, we have an apprentice program, so we actually have a full-time hire that came on as an intern and as an apprentice to really learn. And John can talk a little bit more about that since he...
Yeah, you bet. So I helped usher Tommy is the guy's name through the process, and he was sort of making a career transition. So he was 28 and said, you know what, I want to be a professional developer. I don't want to be working in a quarry or be an iron worker anymore. I want to do work on the computer and with software and with people. So he came and said, I'd really just like to work with you guys and absorb the culture and figure out and learn for 3 months. You don't have to pay me, you don't have to do anything, just can I be around in this area and work with you? And let's see if we can get something going. And it worked out so well that we kind of created this apprenticeship program. We had him pair programming with me and with Eric and with Andrew, our other partner, who does a lot of the design work. And he's a full-time hire now. He's executing on work for us in a full-time capacity. He's a full stack developer, so we've got him spun up on Ruby on Rails, Haml SAS. We can throw other acronyms at you too, JavaScript, React. But you know, we work at it with a certain set of core technologies that allows us to be able to train the team across that set of tech and be able to execute on different clients' visions with different team members. And we oftentimes pair to get people up to speed that way. So that helps with the talent. Yep.
So do you envision yourself staying in De Pere, or do you think you'll move to like a bigger city, like with maybe more tech capital, like Milwaukee or Madison eventually?
I think we'd like to get some satellite offices going. So for me personally, one of the reasons I wanted to start Headway, my wife is from the De Pere area. Her parents live in De Pere, and we've got 3 little kids. So it's awesome to have grandma and grandpa there to be a part of the life. So I was here in Madison, was commuting to Chicago for a while as that CTO position, and really just said, I don't want to be making that drive. I want to have some more time with my family. I love Northeast Wisconsin culture and values and all that stuff. So building the business to be able to grow it out of there for me is a long-term goal and strategy. But I do think that we're going to need to hire some trusted folks, that can help promote the Headway brand and sell us into Milwaukee and Chicago. And but we do have clients already in Chicago and in San Francisco. So we have a presence there through conferences and different events as we travel and make those relationships. So
how many clients do you have?
We did a count the other day. 54 have not active, but kind of have gone through the process with us over the last year or two. And at any given time, probably 8 maybe active clients.
Yeah,
6.
as a small team, we can only take on so much, and that's one of the ways that when John mentions agile teams is we want to get entrenched with that client, and we want to work, hand in hand with them. And it's really hard for us to be able to change our mindset to multiple different things at a time, which is why we like to dedicate personnel to a specific task or job. So I think, as we continue to grow, we'll see that what one developer or designer may be working on is one project, right? Versus maybe where the reality now is they're split across maybe 2, something like that. Yeah.
How do you guys wrestle when you're dealing with your clients, the value, the ROI on a set of features? I guess, how is that prioritization handled? Do you guys provide input? I think it's kind of that marketing and creative handshake with IT. How do you guys determine, or how do you find it successful when somebody assigns a value? How does that process work?
Yeah, and it really depends what their ROI is, right? Their goal may just be the amount of users, it may be the amount of traffic, it may be how many purchases or something like that. So we try to inform that, and then we use our user validation, the questions we've asked our users to really inform, hey, out of these 5 things that we could build, based on our user feedback, this seems like the best thing. And then we find a way to measure what the success of that is so the client can understand, hey, I spent this amount of resources to it, and this is what it was. And that's a lot of things. That's a big question for us in software development, is making sure that we don't have our clients see us as an expense, but an investment. And that's really how we try to operate through our process, through our collaboration and everything, that, hey, this is an investment that's really, if it doesn't pay itself out over time, greater than you've paid us, we shouldn't build it in the first place because it's not worth it.
Yeah, I think that's part of that wrestling match of justifying it a little bit, not making it, the marketer or the business owner just wants it, and it's a subjective opinion, let's create this feature or this benefit, trying to assign that monetary value or, whatever that deliverable.
Yeah, trying to create what the goal is.
Metric to it, right?
Yeah. We have an extensive suite of analytics tools that we can use to A/B test things, to track metrics, to look at funnels, to say, hey, you thought this new landing page was going to be the thing, but everybody's dropping off, and those rates didn't used to be this drastic. So let's roll it back. Let's try something else. We're happy to entertain ideas, even if we don't 100% agree with them, as long as we can find a way to measure the outcome. So we're happy to be wrong, because we'll just use the data to get the right answer.
So I just got the back half of this, which is, I'm sorry, but you said something about apprenticeships. Have you guys, there's a company out of Kentucky that just got a $3 million grant from the U.S. To help iron workers and all of them learn how to code. And so it's called Interapps company. I just saw it come through today. So if that is something you guys are really serious about going through, you might want to try to see what they did, because that $3 million helped place like 50 people to full-time jobs.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, we have a partnership with a company locally who operates out of our building, is it one night a week, for Code Convoy? And that is sort of a dev boot shop, or is that the right word? Boot camp, thank you. So we run that too out of our building to help get new software development graduates or people who are transitioning into that career, the skills that they need. But yeah, that's a really good tip. Thanks, we'll check that out.
Yeah, thanks. Anything else?
If there aren't any other questions, one question for you is, what can we as the community do to help you? I know we're not particularly local, given that most of us are based in Madison, but what can we as the entrepreneurial community down here do to help you in De Pere or beyond?
Challenge us. Challenge us with questions, with your ideas. Keep an eye out for different opportunities where you can see a process like this really fitting. That's a big thing for us too, is we want to make sure that the clients, we just don't take any client, that we take clients that really have the same values and beliefs we do in the process, and trusting that. So I think really just kind of taking from this that, hey, we're in De Pere, this is what we do, and yeah, feel free to reach out whenever and challenge us on different things, and just keep this in mind.
Excellent. Thanks so much, guys, and thanks to 100 State Crescendo for the coffee and Field 59 for the live stream. And thank you to all of you. Please keep coming back.
All right.
Thanks for having us. A little bit, yeah. We were down for less